It is just after 12 o'clock on this Thursday, the 8th of July. Good afternoon. Welcome to Central Valley Talk Live. I am Austin Reed. Hit me up on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. Give me a follow. I'll do it back to you. You know, a lot of people don't follow back, but I do. I promise. Every day I make sure to look through my feed and see the people that followed me, and I always follow back. So it's the nice thing to do. We got to talk about our weather before we get started because we are under an excessive heat warning. This went into effect today, earlier today. It will continue through at least Monday. Here's the forecast. 107 today. That's the high. Friday, 112. Saturday, 114. And then Sunday, 115, and the hot weather, the extreme hot weather, stays with us until Monday, 114. And I'll provide updates on your weather throughout the day. We have so many live local guests until late this afternoon, so make sure you stay with us. My first guest, he is running for governor right here in the Golden State. Give it up for Nickolas Wildstar, back with us.
Oh, yeah.
What's up? We don't have a studio audience, but we have us.
I can hear the crowd going wild. You know, go wild with Wildstar.
That's right. Oh, that's a good one.
That's my campaign slogan.
That is your campaign? Okay,
Yeah.
I was like, man, you got to use that. That's great.
Thank you.
Welcome back. You've been on before, so we're so happy that you have come back. And, you know, we were talking about this before the interview, and what I love about you is that you make yourself available to anybody, any media that invites you on.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a lot of politicians locally and across the state where, whether it's us reaching out or somebody else, they just ignore us. And I think, you brought up such a good point as far as you're not running just to be a celebrity. You're running because you care about this community and the entire state. Is that right?
Indeed. And that's what motivates me. Unfortunately, there's many candidates that are running that are disingenuous with regards to their intentions, and they're throwing their hat in the race, last minute simply because they want to sell some books or, more TV show viewers and all of that stuff. So I truly appreciate you, Austin, for opening, your platform to give me a chance to be heard, because that's what I've come across also, is being shut out by the mainstream media.
See, that's not right.
When I was the 2018 Libertarian candidate for governor, I got completely ignored, So now that I'm running as a Republican, I'm starting to see more of those doors open. I just recently had an exclusive by Newsweek. And
I didn't see that.
No, recently. And that's the thing, is they're also shadow banning me. So I'll put out these articles and let people know, hey, I have this interview, and still won't get much of a reach with that. So it's up to we, the people, to kind of take the initiative, start sharing this content with each other instead of being reliant upon those superpowers, because, of course, they have their own interests, their own goals, and their own agenda. And unfortunately, that doesn't align with what we, the people, want, an improvement of our community. And I will definitely take any and every opportunity to speak and be heard because of that. So if you're out there and you're listening, you have a podcast, a live stream, or whatever the case may be, or just a voter and want to reach out to me and talk to me, I make myself readily available to the public on my website, wildstar2022.com. I handle all of my correspondence, whether it's on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. So all social media correspondence is from yours truly.
Okay, so let's talk about the latest with the recall campaign. The vote happened September 14th. And so that's coming up. It's July 8th, so in a few months.
Oh, yeah.
But it'll happen sooner rather than later. Where do things stand with your campaign? And then also, what updates do you have about the recall effort?
Absolutely. Well, my campaign is doing its best to make sure that we are able to fundraise the filing fee. It's $4,200 for candidates to get on the ballot. And with me running as a write-in candidate in 2014, I learned in 2018 as the Libertarian candidate that it's best to have your name on the ballot. You know, that of course is going to get you more votes. So that filing fee is $4,200. If you would like to contribute to that effort, please again visit my website, wildstar2022.com. I ran a money bomb over Independence Day weekend and was able to get about $2,900 of that. So I'm getting fairly close. But the deadline for that is next week Friday, because they did bump up that special election. So the original projected date was around November, and that would have given candidates at least till around August, September to make sure that they, you know, cross their T's, dot their I's. But now with them bumping it up to September 14th, that now closes that window of opportunity to, again, just a week before candidates can pay their filing fee, collect 65 signatures, wet signatures, during a time where people are told to stay home and stay away from each other. So that's another difficult hurdle. And the window for signature gathering actually opens this Friday. So I don't even have access to gather the signatures legally until Friday. But the biggest hurdle that they put in front of candidates is a 5-year tax return requirement. And they just imposed this new election rule, which was signed into law by Gavin Newsom in 2018 to prevent presidential candidates like Donald Trump from, you know, refusing to provide a tax return to run for office. Now, typically this isn't required to run for any local election. Even when I ran in for governor in 2018, that wasn't a requirement. But now they're imposing that rule for this recall election, which, if you look at the election rule, is very vague and has been challenged by legal scholars to say, hey, because it doesn't say special election specifically, it should not apply. But Shirley Weber, the Secretary of State, and Gavin Newsom are colluding to suppress voters because I have a lot of supporters who would love to vote for me, but I'm not going to adhere to that rule simply because of that.
Wow.
My money, my business, you know, and it should be that way. I don't care about your personal finances, and that's why as governor I plan on making taxation voluntary. You know, if you want to file a tax return or want a return for the taxes you paid, great. Now you file a tax return, but if you want to pay into the system, you'll be choosing where that money, choosing how much money you want to give and where that money goes.
I want to talk a little bit about the drought, because it is extremely hot. We were just talking about that at the beginning of our show today, and it's a problem.
It is.
Climate change, what's your thought on that? Real or a hoax?
It's manufactured. And the reason being is because, you know, anyone that's educated, any farmer, you know, or a statistician can look at the data and say, hey, these drought periods happen every 5 years, 10 years. This recent one, I believe, took 17 years or so since the last one. But it's lack of preparation by our public officials to, you know, get ready for those times when they're expected to happen. So as governor, that's what I plan on doing, is making sure we have water reserves like from Temperance Flats and the Sierra Nevada runoff to prepare for those times when we have a lack of water. But I believe that we should have an abundance of water and never ever have to worry about a drought. And we can simply remedy that by making sure that we have you know, utilities in place to make that happen. So under my Gold New Deal, I plan on making people's own utility, where we have our own water and power and internet service available to us free of charge, since we're going to be investing into it as taxpayers. But with the water part of it, I've spoke with a guy who created these atmospheric water generators. He's an engineer, and his name is Moses, of all things. So Moses has created these atmospheric water generators, which literally create water out of thin air. So we can line up the coast with these AWGs and transport that water inland, and now we'll always have water. I've also been speaking with farmers like Daryl Cotton, who's another engineer down in San Diego, who has created these closed-loop aquaponic systems. It's basically rock farming. So he uses rocks instead of soil to do his planting, and by doing so, he's able to grow a yield of maybe 10 to 40% pardon me, about a 40% return using 10% water. So he uses less water to grow more food, and that's exactly what we definitely need right now is an investment into making sure that we are always able to have access to food during these times where it's becoming more limited.
I want to, kind of same topic, I want to focus, what about fire season? And how can California prevent the creek fire?
Yes,
like
indeed.
last year. I mean, that was absolutely another historic event, devastating. What would your plan if you got, in office in September? We would still be in fire season technically.
Yeah.
How do you prevent these massive destruction events?
More preparedness. What we've seen because of that is neglect. When Gavin Newsom took office in 2019, one of his first actions as governor was to expand CAL FIRE. And just recently, here we are a year later, it's always in hindsight when we end up finding out these politicians just talk out the side of their neck and, actually don't produce results. So when he did expand CAL FIRE, it was supposedly to make sure that our forests, that the land clearing was done in a timely manner. It hasn't been. The most recent report, he came out and made a claim that about 90,000 acres of forest lands was cleared. Ended up finding out that was about 13,000. So the numbers are being inflated. He's lying to the public. There isn't any accountability, and because of the expansion of CAL FIRE, that now includes more money being influenced into the this service, this public service. So it's unfortunate that money always tends to be the motivating factor instead of just improving the community, improving our environment, so we won't have to live with these threats, looming over our heads. So I plan on privatizing our CAL FIRE and disbanding it. That way we can allow people of the community, those people that are more well-versed, more well-educated, more well-equipped to actually deal with it immediately, opposed to being reliant upon, public services for that.
I want to talk a little bit about your competitors.
All right.
You've got Caitlyn Jenner. She's running. I've invited her on multiple times. Haven't heard back. So if you're watching right now or on our replay, you're welcome to come on. Any political candidate. But yeah, I mean, just thinking of other people that you're running against, how, in a nutshell, are you different than them? We already know how you're different, compared to Newsom, mm-hmm. but about the people you're running against.
Well, I'm actually the people's candidate, a true people's candidate. As I said, I've been out there, the boots on the ground guy that's been collecting signatures to recall Gavin Newsom and get him out of office, so I wasn't just jumping on the bandwagon simply because I saw it as being an opportunity. I initiated that change, and I've always been that type of person. For the past 10 years, I've been involved in community activism, and that's been my go-to. People know me as somebody that's out there in front of the issue instead of behind the ball on it. So I'll continue that path as governor, and I've been out there doing my best to be a beacon of the people and a spokesman for them. And I think that's what they're truly looking for, the voters of California and all residents, is just a true spokesman of we the people of the community, to voice their concerns. Not only voice those concerns, but listen to them and have them be addressed. This entire time we've been complaining to Gavin Newsom about what we've been upset, but he didn't really take us seriously until we were able to get that recall ball going. Then all of a sudden he's out there doing community cleanup projects and, doing his best to help those people that are losing their homes and get houses for the unhoused people. So it's a last-minute scramble to the finish line simply because he's trying to save his job. I care more about the people than the job, since I've been doing that job even without the title, of governor. So I'm a people's governor, for the people, by the people, and will always be that.
And I've also, I will say, I've also reached out to Newsom's team too. So we want Newsom to come on, and if you're watching, the invitation is open. I want to. Oh, man, we're running out of time. I have so many questions, but you're going to come back. So,
I certainly will.
Real quick though, how do you plan? If you win September 15th, how do you plan to work with Democrats, independents, and libertarians?
Well, I'm a people over party type of a candidate. I am running as a Republican, a Ron Paul Republican, make that distinction clear. But indeed. But with me being a Ron Paul Republican, my focus is on liberty and freedom and justice for all, something that we as Americans can all agree on, and our immigrant population as well that's here in California, because we do have an ethnic makeup that's very diverse. You need a candidate that's going to bridge that gap and unite people under one common banner, one common goal. And I believe that goal for everyone is just to live a more free, happier, peaceful life, where government isn't dictating every single thing that you should do. Government's job shouldn't be dictating what you do, but dictating what the government does. So that's the different role that they'll be seeing with me as governor, is a more efficient and affordable government that is operating here in the state.
And do you invite Democrats or independents, like I said, libertarians, to vote for you?
Oh, yes, of course. And that's the thing about my campaign platform, is it crosses party lines. I'm a Republican candidate that's promoting for a people's owned bank, or a people's own utility, which definitely seems more progressive, but to me just seems more economically sound.
Like it makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense. To me, as a conservative, I always think about saving first. How can we save our money as taxpayers, save our environment, since we all need it to live, save our food, save our air, save all of our resources to make sure that we have it available to live. And again, like I said, I think that's something that people of all sides, all political spectrums can agree on. So I'm the only candidate that really is attractive to all voters of California to unseat Gavin Newsom. That's what's really needed right now, is somebody to be on that ballot that's going to excite the people of California enough to want to vote yes to recall Gavin Newsom, then of course vote Wildstar for governors. I don't think Jenner, Cox, Faulkner, Oates, anybody down the line will be able to do that,
Very well, okay. Great. Well said. Wildstar2022.com, because even if, Newsom stays in office, you're still running in 2022.
I am. I was one of the first candidates to announce my candidacy for 2022 and let people know, hey, if this recall is successful, you will see me on that ballot. So again, visit my website to contribute today so I can get that ballot fee and lock in my spot on the ballot. And if not, I will definitely be back in 2022.
And donations are welcome.
Yes, all day long.
All day long, yeah.
Because I'm not funded by, big pharma.
That is true. Yes,
big banks, the unions, et cetera. I'm 100% funded by we the people. So please, we got to protest with our money as well. As people power is going to be able to get back our state government.
We'll see you next time.
Definitely.
Thank you, Nick.
God bless you until then.
Appreciate it. I'm Austin Reed. You're watching Central Valley Talk. We'll be back with another live local guest coming up shortly.